Oh my god! I'm so sad! I close my eyes! I can't do it!
Okay, let's go.
No. In all realness, 2 Seconds to Starlight is a little better than the original, although its dramatic scenes are like overblown, major league. It's about a girl or guy coming out as transgender to their parents and being rejected, but accepted by their friends, you know. It's a story of friendship and love, and acceptance. There's so many better ways to do this.
Will no one see the person I know I am?
It's so...
Will no one hear the voice that cries out from my heart?
Please stop, it's so loud. Oh my god.
Inside.
This first game is basically a big warning for what we're going to be dealing with today. Games that are more about story and emotional connection more than actual gameplay. With bad movement, stylized graphics, and tons of invisible walls, practically all of them being walking simulators. This game in particular is based on the real story of towns affected by the disastrous pollution and fires near Sao Paulo, Brazil, from some oil barons or whatever. It reflects the child's point of view of the events, and is Starbound-esque music in the fact that it's way too orchestral and over the top for its own good, taking away from the experience at times. Although, the music seems to be one of the most polished aspects of the game, and this girl can subvert all negative effects of toxic waste by just imagining it away. Incredible storytelling. Well, short and free is always a good combo, I guess. I solved the puzzle by pressing E twice on the glowy spots. Incredible. Atma is a beautiful pixel art game about spirits and gods, although the current iteration is just a demo of sorts, a prologue. It looks very promising, and the gameplay is okay. It was on the sad section tags of Steam, but is not very sad looking. Maybe I should have put this game before the other one, because how I've ordered things in the past, but whatever. Steam flipped it over, so I wrote the script this way, and fuck you. This is a point-and-click adventure, if you can even call it that. It's some dude on a mysterious date, exploring a foreign park where he doesn't know the language and uncovering the secrets it holds, or whatever. In this clip, you'll see me try a key on every single door in the game, because I hate point-and-click adventures, and... well, as I said before, short and free is an unbeatable combo, and the ending was pleasant. Not a very sad game, but it wasn't its intention, I guess. That is hilarious. I am not reviewing these things. Emily is Away is a short, tight-knit story about trashy online communication and peering into people's lives or piecing together what happened over time. By using a rebranded America Online Instant Messenger, you can communicate with a girl you know from high school, Emily, as you both deal with the happenings in your lives. Think of it as a pretty immersive Telltale game that actually has choices you make, instead of fake outline garbage that just all ends at the same place. Then again, I don't really know if all the endings are just one amalgamation, but the illusion is done so well I couldn't really care. It's just awkward and stupid and convoluted. It's great. With Emily as a way too, you definitely get what you pay for. It's bigger and better, with more conversations to be had, more people to talk to, links to click, references to find, fake websites to explore. Basically, think of the original as a demo for this game. It's longer, and it's more fun. Well, depends what you call fun. There's a higher quality bar for the dialogue and interface, which are the only things you see in the game. The only downside being the lack of a full screen video option. This is great and all, but how do I play the game? Cool. Let me start off by saying the controls menu lies to you. There's some weird integrated extreme mouse acceleration that makes doing any precise turns impossible. And when your entire game revolves around picking certain objects up and looking at very specific things, it gets really fucking annoying. Gone Home is a story about you being the eldest and golden child of a family, returning to an empty household after you've moved recently. You find audio logs and papers explaining the happenings of your family members' lives and their troubles. Also the mysteries of the house and what ills it brings. There are no people in the game. Or is that a spoiler? I don't think so. If you're not the kind of person to interact with every last object in a room or read every single word on paper, this game's probably not for you. Because the story's kinda cliche, you can tell exactly where it's going about 1/4 through the story. But it's not a bad story, it's alright. I hate reading this cursive though. Guilt-Free is a virtual novel about dealing with a girlfriend that has an eating disorder and getting her the help she needs. Going through daily life and noticing little quirks and picking up on anomalies. It's extremely linear, but it is about a serious topic that doesn't really get much attention, if a bit hamstringed and cliche. Hero Plus, which apparently in game files is known as New Hero instead, is a Chinese MMO, and that's just about it. Oh my god. It appeared in the sad section of Steam? I have no idea why. There's no audio. There's no audio. Yeah, I'm not playing this anymore. Hollow Knight is a popular side-scroller Souls-like that follows you as a little bug dude killing other bugs and whatever. I think the world's pretty boring to be quite honest, and my keyboard rebindings straight up don't work. And then I switch it back and it still doesn't work, so that's pretty good. I'm unable to progress in pretty much any way. I can't dash, I can't accept inside of menus. Overall, the game has okay art, some good sound design, and some boring mechanics. Feels a little dated. I heard it gets sad later, but whatever. I got trolled, dude. The game shows up under the sad tag on Steam, but it's completely a joke game. The voice acting is completely horrible, it's extremely short, and it's really awkward, but it's supposed to be funny. I got trolled! Yes, I did 100% it, and no, it didn't take much effort. Do I recommend you playing it? No. Voice acting is horrific. And I know that's the point, but it was straining to listen to it.
This looks like a screenplay. Is Harold writing a movie?
I like to write erotic drama set in science fiction landscapes.
It does contain some entertaining scenes though.
I want to torture you, make you scream. After all, I'm honest the KGB. You better be there, brother, or I'm breaking these. I'm a mad brother, so I'm KGB.
First of all, how in the hell does this game have an overwhelmingly positive rating? Who played this shit and thought, damn, 10 out of 10 would waste my time again? It is by no means a bad game, but it's so far from good, I don't know if I downloaded the wrong files. It's celebrated for having a confusing, yet engaging story, but it couldn't be more straightforward. It's all about fighting against the system, individuality, and face the mob, the dangers of the revolt against bystanders, life as the outsider, general totalitarian dystopia, with trash easy puzzles and brain-dead platforming, just makes for a horrible experience, and practically no repercussions for death. Half of the situations of this game are solved via inaction. I'd say if you haven't played a video game before, you would think this is the second coming of Christ. Just barely reflects life with heavy anxiety. Much like other games here, there's not much actual game to play, but instead a story to be told through surface level interaction. Was it worth my time? Yeah, I guess. It's short and free. It's a tight package and does not overstay its welcome. I can't pronounce the name of this game, so we're just gonna go with Kai. It's a French game about a guy who kills himself and God tells him you can redo your life. I think it is sad, like a genuinely sad game, but the English translation is quite poor, on no fault of the developers. They're trying to get an official translation patch out. This is just the best they could do at the time. Also, the game doesn't record properly, so I literally am taking audio that I can get, plus images of the starting sequence. Also, I couldn't move left in the beginning, so I don't know what's with that. Looks interesting. That's the most I'll give it. Okay, so all these dumb characters speak some retarded form of Simlish, and the distance blur plus bloom effects are so strong it takes away from the experience, even making my computer lag. The character model's sunken eyes are quite unnerving, paired with the exaggerated movements and cartoony textures just don't really mesh well together with the tone of later scenes and the weird body proportions. Most of the story revolves around the player being a disabled old guy, recounting a tragic event in which he lost the love of his life, and attempting to change the pieces of the past in order to influence the present. I was nowhere near interested enough to play more than 1/4 of it. Extremely boring proto-collectathon. In simple terms, Left on Red is just bad Emily's Away. It's more up to date, and has relevant topics, I guess. Takes place during the coronavirus lockdown where you're communicating with a girl that you're interested in and she might not be interested in you. Honestly, I could not feel more disconnected from a game. I couldn't even be bothered to finish the extremely short story.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
Life is Strange on the outside appears to be a slice-of-life story about an outcast teenage girl and her relatable struggle against society. Instead, it's about some outcast teenage girl and her relatable struggle against society with some random-ass superpower garbage mixed in.
Sad face.
Very good, Victoria.
Did
The
you
Gausian
just say
process
sad
brought out
face
fine
out
detail
loud?
of faces, making them extremely popular.
Pay close attention to these animations and hair textures. In fact, I don't even think it gets much worse than this. And they all look like they're bleeding from their eyes, or at least the main character. Look at this trash. Do you see this?
I'm so sick.
The quality of the dialogue is, well, interesting.
You're gonna get in hella more trouble for this than drugs.
Nobody would ever even miss your punk ass, would they?
Get that gun away from me, psycho! No!
By the way, this is in spoiler territory. This is like 30 seconds in. It's like a Telltale thing where you just click on things and pick up items. Very, very linear. And then you make a crazy dialogue choice.
I did it.
Can you give
I
me
actually
a
did it.
photographer who perfectly
I'm a
captured the
human time
Also, I
machine.
cannot get over how dumb this sequence is.
So original. Don't worry, Max. I'll put a vintage filter on it right before I post it all over social medias. Now, why don't you go fuck your selfie?
Oh yes, Victoria. I'll get your bony ass out of my way.
Why don't you just walk around them? I'm so over this.
Well, the suspense is killing me.
It's Dad. Wants to know if I'm coming home after school. Jeez, I'm not a 10-year-old.
He just cares about you, Sean. Anyway, you should be happy your dad's looking out for you.
Called
Oh,
out?
it's Jen.
Called out?
She can't wait to see us at the party.
We're freaking fighters.
Now, unlike the original, the sequel
You're
can't
right.
stop being better. Better
Us
voice
freaking
acting,
fighters,
better
though.
intro, better dialogue, animations, models, sound.
Okay,
And get this,
getting
there's a
way late and I
playable
gotta
video
stop
game
my
that can be
outfit for
found
tonight.
if you look hard enough.
Skype me later when you're ready. Hugs. Talk to you soon.
Skype? They're not using Discord? This game really immerses you in a story of being stranded in the wilderness with a child, because they'll be saying stupid shit all the time and begging for your attention. I would like to take off points for something like this, but it's so accurate I can't fault it.
At least we don't have to go to school on Monday, right?
Yeah.
Look, everybody's gonna be so stoked when they find out.
That your dad died? That you're fucking you killed a cop? And your neighbor?
I bet Dad would be too.
The story's points that doesn't make too much sense, but it feels way more realistic than the original, and superpowers play a much smaller role, at least being more indirect. And with this free first episode, it was a good test drive.
If he's lucky, he won't end up like his criminal big brother.
Just let me go, please.
You're the reason we need to build that wall. You hold tight.
Bruh!
Brother.
Bruh! This game is hilarious! With a lot of downtime and items to inspect, and dialogue to uncover, don't play unless you're up for that. I don't usually read Steam reviews for games I do here, specifically because I don't want it to influence what I'm thinking about the game directly. But this game is so extremely different. In fact, I'd say it's the closest thing to real art on this list. So I'll snag this piece from someone else's review. I don't want to say to a person, if you want to feel sad, play this game. I want to say something like, if you look, you can find beauty in the sadness. And if you look, you can find the beauty in life tastes like cardboard. It's an experience that will be hard to find anywhere else, even with how simple it looks on the surface. And it couldn't be any closer to the truth. If you want the short and simple, it's a walking simulator about self-pity and lucid dreaming, I guess. It is music that needs to be heard to be believed, and it has scenes to show you if you're willing to look. If you have the time and patience, I could not give this game a higher recommendation. From the creators that brought you Inside, this is the original game actually, and to be honest I think it's better. The black and white contrast of the world gives it character, while also making it more obvious what you need to do without wasting your time. The character also feels more responsive, and the game mechanics are just generally more interesting. But using this general style of game comes some inevitable issues that are just inherent in this genre, as I explained when I was talking about Inside. However, is it a sad game? Questionable. I'm gonna spoil the end really quick. Some people think that the girl at the end is burying the player character under the treehouse because he died and he's in limbo, which makes sense, I guess. I don't know. Take it for what you will. Dingling Productions presents to you Lisa, the Painful. The game follows Brad Armstrong, a man broken by his past, who decides to do something good, questionable, and shelter the last remaining female from the outside world, full of a bunch of perverts, murderers, and psychopaths. The in-game currency is porno magazines. And as you just saw, practically everywhere in the world is a hazard to your life. Nearly every single cliff can kill you. Random enemies will one-shot dead your party members, not KO. And sometimes resting in order to regenerate health just loses you party members. Although all these rest points seem to have a save point really close by, it seems like they knew what they were doing, because these mechanics more or less reflect the harsh life in this world, but sometimes it ends up just being annoying. The music's banging in a really weird sort of way. And you don't need to be a turn-based strategy god in order to get through the combat in this game, but it still can be pretty difficult, if a bit bullshit. So the synopsis is, travel across the post-apocalyptic landscape full of mutants and men, get ambushed, commit war crimes, and experience some of the finest dark humor you can find. And the $10 entrance fee really isn't a lot, and goes on sale often. One other thing I do want to cover is, people often convey Lisa the Painful as Undertale but dark. No. No, it's not. You're dumb. You're dumb for thinking that. I don't know how you got that conclusion. Let me start off by saying Mutazone, or Mutazione, is definitely not my kind of game. It's a more calming, discovery soap opera-esque, gardening, music, ambient, it's just really calming. While you also envelop yourself in the dramas of this small condensed community, there are characters to discover and understand, a world to be explored. I quite honestly just don't care enough though. But I can recognize how beautiful it is. Gardens that grow and play music, beautiful art, and a walking simulator-esque atmosphere where you don't really have to care about much. Alright, let's get this straight. Do you get it? It's because the game's gay. It's gay, and I said, let's get this straight. Do you get it?
They have an anime intro for this thing?
At some point I thought it was funny, so that's why I wrote it in the script. Now that I'm reading it, I feel autistic. Nekojishi, or Nekojeshi, it's Chinese, I think. Oh fuck, I think Neko is in Japanese though, because Japanese for cat, right? Whatever, it's a gay virtual novel dating furry thing, and that's pretty much what it is. Fucking hate. Like they say, senpai, senpai. Holy shit, dude. Oh my. The main character is the most self-insert you can get. A literal blank face, no eyes, white skin, brown hair, the whole deal. Oh dude, I get to choose, dude? Crazy. Oh no. Okay. Apply Gausian blur. Effect 100%. Thank you for your time. I am closing the window now. Night in the Woods is basically Mutazone in the fact that it's a walking simulator and you talk to people and solve problems, quote unquote. But in Night in the Woods, the main character is an asshole and says and does things that I couldn't imagine doing. May, the main character, is a 20-year-old college dropout, and all she wants to do is go home, not work, and play around with her friends, and be a kid. I feel like the target demographic of this game is the kids that look up to adulthood and be like, oh, that's really cool, I want to be an adult. And then this game's supposed to be like, but it's not. It was definitely not engaging enough story-wise to keep me interested till the end. I looked up some forums or whatever, apparently I was 3/4 in. I couldn't care enough. I'm quite annoyed by the fact that all the animations seem to run at like 5 FPS, but then the world interacts in like a full 60 and 120 or whatever. Why couldn't they just smooth that out? It looks so much better. Nomads of Driftland, not Nomads of the Driftland, is apparently supposed to be a tactical RTS that's free to play and whatever, and competitive I guess. The single player missions make absolutely no sense, and I can't attack the first enemy or achieve the first objective, maybe because I glitched it. I'm really not willing to retry it. I think the art design is pretty trash, and I think the game runs pretty trash. How is this under the sad tag on Steam? I can see how like a virtual novel could be, right? But how is this here? You know what, dude? After that furry virtual novel thing, I no longer have a perfect streak of completing these things, so I'm just not gonna do this one. It's just trash. If you really care, it's about growing up near your neighbor and like sharing your life with them in some sort of way. It's trash. It's trash. Meet Jamie Bruh, our main character. Also, I hate to say it, but this virtual novel does voice quips right. Don't have your character read the entire line. Just have them make like little quips. They add a lot actually. In general though, I don't really like the art here, and the story's a little fucking stupid. Holy fuck, did someone actually make an enjoyable walking simulator? Compared to Mutazone and Night in the Woods, this is a lot more gameplay. Well, if you can call it that, really. It feels so much more interactive. It feels good. That's what it feels like.
Named after the Hawaiian god of the sea, the USS Cantaloupe.
You
Just shut up, both of you!
In the same manner as how Mutazone is about plants, Night in the Woods is about debauchery, and Oxenfree is about ghosts. Although I can say it's the most intriguing out of the three, I played it the least, if that means anything. It's a little hidden things you can find. A lot of it's quite interesting actually, but as expected, the game's extremely dialogue and audio heavy. Don't go in expecting something else.
Why? This is why. Easiest question I've been asked all night.
Press Any Button is a minor league saddening game about you being a player and only pressing one button in order to interact with a AI. It's a lot about fourth wall breaking, and it's fully completable in under 40 minutes. I'd say it's pretty enjoyable. It's also framed as a reflex test, and honestly, they're kinda right. Fast thinking, that's what it needs. So if you just type the sad tag in Steam, a bunch of these games come up that are only sad because of the player actions. This isn't necessarily an invalid form of sad, but it's not the kind of sad I'm looking for in this thing. So RimWorld and a bunch of other games, I'll put them all here, like XCOM and games that require your actions in order to make them sad, are all here, because they're technically sad, but I'm not going to rate them. Also, RimWorld is a spectacular game. Is this a joke? Bruh! It's a fucking stupid joke game. It's Bad Agario, or some sort of zombie defense, but reskinned. It probably took total 2 minutes to code, and the textures probably took even less. Please, dear God, do not waste your time. Scene is an infinite runner collectathon that is not infinite and features a dystopian world about a perpetually crying child and his stray cat friend. You collect little hope pebbles, those little blue things, and avoid disappointment or something, which is the little red dots. Level design is insanely simple, puzzles are convoluted or extremely simple, and the downtime between the actually fun gameplay is just way too long in between the sections. Like, the running feels good, but then it stops moving. Also, I think this game is one of those achievement farm games with a bunch of icon-esque achievements, and there's over like 200 of them or something, and they're used to display in Steam profile showcases or whatever. Is that against like Steam rules? I played this game for under an hour and I got 100 achievements or so. Also, with the mass amount of just obscure motivational quotes scattered about, it makes the game just seem really dumb, like a Facebook ad.
Hello? Mr. Munchie?
Welcome to Soma. One of the best horror games that's been made in the last 10 years.
Did something go wrong?
It's got great physics, it's got great enemies, it's got amazing sound. And the world building, oh, the world building is so good. Some of the themes it presents and some of the foreshadowing it does kind of treats the player like they're dumb. There's just too much sometimes. You gotta know when to hold back information and have suspense play its role. But there are some interesting questions it asks of you, and there's so much lore to find, so much to uncover. Mysterious black goop, futuristic technology, and a world that's ending. Perfect combination.
All the sites, find one and come here. I'll wait for you.
Shit! What's that? Oh, fuck!
I shit you not, this 2D Chinese MMO MapleStory ripoff crashed and gave me an error reporting tool that looked much like malware and said, detect virus on computer. So I'm not playing any more of this. It's bad MapleStory, and I fucking hate MapleStory. Stories Untold is another horror game, quite short, sort of a 3-act plus 1 epilogue sort of thing. You gotta be into weird gameplay and puzzles to be liking this one. Just like Soma, I feel like its foreshadowing is a bit too hardcore, but the story is nice. I really like the way this is done. Only $10? Pretty good. On the manner of being sad, it depends how you look at it. In the end though, I think that was the angle it was going for. Sympathy.
Lunar Transfer Station Tacoma. Commercial Cargo Transit Facility.
TACOMA is a beautiful game from the creators of Gone Home, which is a bad thing. It comes as a sci-fi walking simulator with a pretty sicko orbital space station. Does the whole rotation thing for gravity concept. Love that. Let's start off with the obvious. TACOMA has better graphics, sound, means of discovery, voice acting, and really just anything else. The story is much more engaging with more characters to see their lives through. It's also a shorter game, which assists in it being not incredibly annoying to play. Unlike Gone Home's fish out of water perspective that matches with the player, TACOMA instead follows an educated and informed technician on a specific mission, and the player is left to discover what's happening through the eyes of that person. Feels like the world's a lot bigger than it actually is. With anti-gravity sections and a moderately complex sci-fi integration, and a better memory viewer than Cyberpunk, the discovery in Tacoma is much less painful than in Gone Home. The deeper story follows a small crew of specialized workers stranded in space as per contract, where an AI that's trying to comprehend human quirks records and monitors their every move or word spoken. Sadly, it's just not a very sad game.
Here we go.
The Fairy Tale of Death is a German virtual novel featuring the worst music ever made, launching in VR because Unreal Engine defaults to that apparently. And as you know, if I close the VR component of any of these Unreal games, it closes the game, so I'm never able to get any audio, and I have to check in post, and I am surprised by this fucking soundtrack. There is no audio options menu or video settings, the text scroll is extremely slow and I don't know how to progress it. I looked up a Let's Play on YouTube and it took him an hour and a half, and he didn't have modified text settings, which means that that's definitely the only way to play the game, with that extremely slow text. Also, the German to English translation is complete dog shit, and it's very reasonable that it has a 56 on Steam reviews.
The grandfather was a loving man, but he never felt as if he was loved. He only felt torment. He was a miserable man, a very miserable man.
The grandfather is something you'd think you'd find in an artsy high school project. There's a narrator that tells you everything you need to know, weird gameplay mix-ups, basic 2D puzzles, and it's relatively short, although I definitely do not recommend playing this game. The story's kinda stupid, and it attempts to be sad, I guess, triumphant. It fails at mostly everything. The Mind of Marlowe is another shit game made by that developer that did the other documentary style game where it's all a joke. They're trolling, they're putting the sad tag on their game. Okay, well, I don't want to fucking see their games. This one's less interesting than the other one, mostly because it's longer.
A rare disorder which makes the individual experience temporary transformations.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Burkov said he didn't want to play any more virtual novels. How did he 100% this one? The answer might shock you. You see, most modern virtual novels have the skip button. We are using that today, children. The sad story of Emily Burns covers a girl who goes to a graveyard and meets a woman. Turns out she's already dead. Crazy. And antics unfold afterwards. I could not give this the time of day, and nor should you. The Static Speaks My Name is an interesting game that covers darker and more obscure topics. Extremely short and extremely free. I think the reason why the Steam scores are a little lower than normal is because it does allude to being something greater, but what you get is just what you get, and I gotta say, I'm pretty happy with it. With some pretty good sound design. This War of Mine often markets itself as a war game where you don't play as soldiers. You play as a group of civilians, as you lack food, medicine, anything, and die very, very slowly as you get closer and closer connected to characters. Now from that description you might think that this game is able to be fit in with other player-dependent sadness games, but in particular this game tries to ask you moral questions of your actions and who will you save, why, when, in what circumstances, and it has a sadness sort of angle. I don't quite enjoy the anthill style gameplay, but it is intriguing, and the world surrounding is more so. Give it a shot if it looks interesting. Tree is a narrative-driven game that somehow manages to have less interaction than a virtual novel. You literally hold mouse 1 and watch a movie play out, aka a slideshow, because there's barely any movement. Although the tree's growth is dynamic, you can change which way it grows, but in the end it will always grow in the same way, which is overall. Do I think this game is fun? No. Did I think the story was touching? No. Are we gonna move on yet? Probably. Alright, everyone knows Undertale. It's pretty much just less complex Earthbound. It's got some pretty good characters, some pretty good vistas, a standout soundtrack. And if for somehow you have not been spoiled on this game at all, it is incredible. Of course, if you know much of anything, a lot of that exploration factor is ruined. But I say to like the 1% of people who haven't heard anything, it's an extremely unique experience. And quite enjoyable. Also, I forgot to mention, its main gameplay loop revolves around bullet hell, which is actually pretty fun. But I'd say at some points it's a bit too simple. Just play the game and don't look at anything else. There's some really weird shit around this. Imagine making a virtual novel where you cannot use spacebar. Someone needs to get fired. Yo, this game's sus, dude. When you launch the game, it gives you a disclaimer that all the characters are either at or above the age 19. So, yeah. If you actually want a summary, there's basically no plot, and it's like a softcore porn game. So, good thing there's a skip button. Alright, the video editor I'm using to do this project is starting to get really laggy, so I'm going to make this short, just like this game. It's a demo of sorts to try to get you to buy the full game, but it's also fairly good. Not really a virtual novel, more of a choose-your-own-adventure, and very nice sound, very nice way the text appears on screen. Like, there's really not much to mess up here, but you'd be surprised what other games do. Overall, I'd say it's slightly above average. Now, the Steam reviews for this game are raving about the idea that this game is an incredible representation of depression and anxiety, and the feelings it induces, but I really don't see it that way. Maybe because I can see through the facade so easily. It's the overdone gimmick of a game that doesn't want to be played, but is still made, and a really bad voice-acted narrator. The game's assets are incredibly poor, performance is bad, movement feels sluggish and clunky. It's just not unique, and it thinks it is. It makes programs on your desktop and takes a picture of it too. And it saves files in your document folder, and I'm still searching for other things to delete. It's really quite annoying. Plus, it's not even like it's not even good. There's so much better stuff out there. Wait, will it not play if I don't install this plugin? There's no way. Well, guess I'm not playing it. Yume is one of those games that I can't record properly, so here's some screenshots and some background noise. But since I decided it's going to be the last game on the list, might as well have it be a little bit of a mystery. It is critically acclaimed. It seems very interesting from the first few seconds I played. In order to get this video out soon enough though, I'm not going to play it. I've heard it's really good, and it has like a cult following, has a ton of spin-off games. As far as I can tell, it's like LSD Dream Simulator, but in like an RPG Maker formula. Free on Steam, I say give it a try. Most people who have beaten it in the Steam reviews took about like 8 hours or something. So I'm looking forward to investing that time.